Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today, you guys, is another movie review. Today we're tackling a movie that kind of flew under the radar for some and kind of got a lot of, I guess, press for others. Is the Garfield movie. We're taking, the Lego movie, the Garfield movie, the Angry Birds movie, the whatever movie. And look, it's fine. Like, just straight up, like it's good. If you are a massive fan of Garfield and you read, I don't know, you read all the comics or something, or you played the weird kart racing games, or you watch the animated shows and all that, I think you might enjoy this. But first, I gotta ask you to leave a like and subscribe. I just have to, okay? I'm being forced to do it. You just gotta do it. Anyway, yeah. So this movie is it's kind of weird because on the one hand, it is funny and it looks good. And then on the other hand, it also sometimes isn't funny, and sometimes it doesn't look good. Again, I'm not like the biggest fan of Garfield ever. I don't have like a shrine to Garfield. But as a kid, I watched the two movies with Bill Murray, the Garfield the movie, I think, and then Tale of Two Kitties or something like that. And they're bad, okay? Like they're bad movies, okay? But as a child, they were the shit. You know what I mean? They were like, wow, this is crazy, talking cat. Lasagna, and look, they're not like the worst movies ever, but they're not that great. Okay, you look at some of the the animated movies that have really wonky CGI. I will admit though that the Garfield and Friends animated show, that's a banger show. Okay, look, I saw that as a kid, and I just watched a few episodes recently, and it's actually really freaking good. Like, it's funny, it holds up, it's very well made for the most part, and it's not totally horrible. So look, I do like the franchise. I like the cat. I like Garfield. But going into this, I wasn't like, I need to see this movie. And going out of it, I don't think you have to see this film. If you're a fan of Chris Pratt, if you're a fan of Garfield, just the franchise in general, maybe you'll give it a watch. It's not horrible. It isn't the best movie of all time. It's kind of in the middle for me. Like, it's enjoyable and it's fun. And this is very much a Garfield film that is different than what you've seen in the past, right? Because what do you know about Garfield? He's fat, he's a cat, he eats lasagna, he hates Mondays, and he pisses off John, and he physically assaults Odie. Basically, those 6 things, that's all you gotta effing know. But for some reason in this movie, John is extremely sidelined. He's in like 3 or 4 scenes. He's pretty effing unfunny. His voice actor's actually not that good. I don't know who voiced him. Doesn't really fit the character. And then you get Odie. Normally, again, Garfield and Odie is like Homer and Bart. It's like, why you little? And he chokes him. They don't do that anymore because that's bad. Which obviously I don't condone strangling a child, but it's a effing joke. That's the joke. So in this, it's kind of weird that they decided to take that joke and then, sideline it and kind of go, oh, well, Garfield doesn't assault Odie. He doesn't beat him up. He doesn't make fun of him. He doesn't do that. They're like best friends. Garfield barely makes fun of Odie the entire time. And it's kind of, that was like, I don't know about that. A lot of the reviews for this movie were saying that this movie's kind of tonally off, and it isn't really what Garfield should be, right? Garfield, again, is those 6 things I mentioned. And this film, literally the movie opens with Garfield, Deadpool style, addressing the audience She-Hulk style, like me looking at you saying, hey, this is a little bit different than what you think, and he's like ordering DoorDash and shit, and there's like drones giving him pizza, and it's funny, like, it works, it's charming, and I think, honestly, one of the best aspects of this movie, if not the best aspect of this film, is the voice acting. It's very solid, actually. Chris Pratt, obviously, look, Chris Pratt's a good actor. I don't think anyone can say he's not, but I think everyone can say he is in too much stuff. Now, not to say I'm mad that he's in stuff or anything like that. I just straight up, he's in too much stuff. Same with Tom Holland. They're just in too much shit. You know what I mean? You got to stop that. I know they're good, but for God's sake, let someone else do it. You know what I mean? Please. Because basically what Chris is doing here is he's using his normal voice, just a little deeper, a little bit more pissed off. He voiced Emmett. He voiced Mario. He voiced Garfield. He voiced that weird troll guy from Onward or whatever. The fat guy from Onward, the Barkley or whatever. He's in a lot of stuff. And this is honestly one of his best vocal performances. He does actually a really good job. Everyone does. Odie does great, and he's a freaking dog. And he just goes, rah, 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 that's all he does. And he's great. So yeah, the voice acting is, unjokingly, if I can be serious, it's actually effing good, okay? Like, it's good. But that can't carry a whole movie. And you start off with, Garfield going, okay, hey, this is like an untold story. And obviously, if this was just an hour and 40 minutes of him sleeping and hating Mondays, yeah, it'd be boring as hell. So thankfully, they kind of do up the ante a bit, and we get kind of like a oddly enough, like a Mission Impossible spy thriller movie, which is also a comedy and a story about Garfield and his estranged dad, Victor, played by Samuel L. Jackson. And he's great too in the role. He's really good as Vic. You get this other character, I don't even remember his name. He's like a purple bull or something. And then this purple bull is in love with a female cow, and they're working on some kind of dairy farm. And it's basically a heist movie where Garfield and Vic have to work together to steal like a butt ton of milk so that they can basically owe this cat. It's weird, okay? Like, it's weird. It shouldn't work. But it does. It's actually an engrossing plot. And it's funny is that they have the spy element. They have the Mission Impossible music from the movie, the Tom Cruise movies. Garfield makes a joke about Tom Cruise. And then Ving Rhames, the guy who plays, what's his face? The guy from Mission Impossible. I know his name. It's just missing me right now. Luther Stickle. He's voicing the bull. So it's really weird because I'm watching this movie and I'm eating my popcorn and I'm like, this dude sounds familiar. He sounds really effing familiar. Where is this guy from? And then I watch the credits and it said Ving Rhames. I'm like, oh, I know that name. Oh, that's Luther from Mission Impossible. So it's really weird. It's like the director wanted to make a Mission Impossible movie, but he couldn't. So he made Garfield the movie with Mission Impossible stuff in it. And again, that's not to say it's bad or out of place. It's just kind of weird that you decided to go with that for Garfield. But again, it works for the most part. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't work. For example, some of the animation is really good, and the expressions are fine, and some of them are not. John, specifically, there's a few moments where John's looking a little bit, he just kind of, he does emote, but sometimes, you know, and that scene from the trailer where, like, baby Garfield's at the window and he's eating the pizza in the restaurant or whatever, some of that doesn't look too great in a few shots. Again, look, when you're watching this movie, either with a kid or if you're an adult, because again, animation is not for children, it's for everyone. You know, however old you are and you're watching this, you're probably not going to pay attention to this. It's just I'm reviewing it, so I was kind of looking for these things. But, and then there's like, you know, weird moments where like they're either telling a backstory or they're going over a plan or something's happening, and they have like really shittily made like still images. Like, I don't know if that was like a stylistic choice or an artistic thing. It just looks like poo-poo because like the movie itself looks fine. Like the CGI looks decent enough. This isn't Illumination or Disney or DreamWorks, something like that. It looks fine. But at the same time, there are these moments where like they cut and it's just like these scenes of you know, just still images, and it just looks like a PS2 game where like, you know, it's like you're playing the Garfield movie, the video game for the PlayStation 2. It's a really bad PlayStation 2 port, and the cutscenes are just still images from the film. You know what kind of game I'm talking about, right? The SpongeBob SquarePants movie did that too. Good game, but that game did that, and you know, it can look a little bit wonky at times, can draw you out a little bit. There are some funny moments, I will say. There's a few really, or not a few, there's a lot of laugh out loud moments, especially with the Ving Rhames bull, whatever, ox character, and I think, you know, it is a funny movie. John kind of has this weird side plot. I don't even want to call it a plot. He's just at home while Garfield's on like this life-altering adventure with his real dad. John's at home basically crying like a baby. There's no Liz, so I guess he's just a weird dude that just has a cat and a dog, and it's all he does in life. I mean, hey, if you're one of those people, whatever. But he talks to no humans. He hates humans. He just likes his cat and dog, and you know, whatever. You do what you do, man. But he's just at home crying and calling people, and there's a few funny jokes, but really his plot is just he gets mad and sad, and then he just happens to find them. And he's like, oh, I found you, wow! And again, the voice actors really doesn't fit. I don't really like the voice actor. It just doesn't sound like John. There's a few lines I feel like he kind of muffled a bit, and then I don't know, it's just like a really weird joke in the end with, I'm not going to spoil the movie, but at the end there's a really weird joke. There's a few pauses where, like awkward long pauses where you're like, oh, okay, you're supposed to laugh there, you're supposed to whatever there, and then you just don't. And there are a few specifically made long pauses that are genuinely funny for a specific joke. That makes no sense to you, I'm sure. But when you watch the movie, it will, I promise. But a lot of the stuff, trust me, but when you watch it and, you know, some of the jokes don't land and some of the animation just feels awkwardly cheap. Again, I get it. It's not a Disney movie where you have $18 quadrillion to dump into something that's no one's going to watch. But again, I feel like for a Garfield movie, my standards weren't very high, because it's Garfield, but at the same time, I do like that character, and I do like this world. Obviously Garfield to me is not Star Wars, or Marvel, or Ninjago, or DC, or Harry Potter, or anything else, but it's good enough, I enjoy it, I'll watch it, it's fine. And this film, I feel like they did a good job. Honestly, this is probably the best Garfield movie ever made. That's not saying a whole lot, but it still is it is like straight up the best Garfield movie. Like, I've seen all of them practically, as a kid, but they're good, they're whatever, but this one is genuinely good. Like, there's good action, the end is really entertaining. There are a few boring moments too, I didn't pull my phone out because I'm not that kind of a-hole, but I'm looking at my watch that I didn't have, and I was like, what time is it? Oh yeah, I don't have a watch. So then I looked at my ring, and I was like, oh, look at that ring. There's a few moments where, they're just kind of, Garfield and Vic are talking, and they're bickering, and it just gets old really fast. And some of it's funny, but most of it gets old. Like in the Lego Ninjago movie, you have Lloyd Garmadon and Lord Garmadon, his dad. You have Lloyd and Lord Garmadon bickering. And that works because of the dynamic, and the writing in that works. Most of it works here too, but there are a few moments where I feel like they were just kind of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They're like tied to a tree at one spot in the film, and they're just effing arguing and talking back and forth, and I'm like, can we do something? And then they cut to John, and John's like on the phone with effing IT or something, having a meltdown, and I'm like, let's do the movie, let's do it, come on. And if I was a kid, I think maybe there was a kid in the theater, I'd imagine he'd be kind of bored. Again, it's not a kids movie, it's for everyone. Kids movies are stuff made, for babies and stuff. This is not a kids film. It's just an animated movie. But kids watching it, I imagine, would be a little bored in certain areas. I was even bored in one or two spots. I'm like, can we get going with this movie here, please? So some of the pacing's a bit wonky, some of the animation's a bit wonky, some of it feels kind of cheap, some of the comedy doesn't mix. But again, this is not trying to be the Lego movie or the Tintin of animation, right? This is not trying to be the best thing ever. And for a Garfield movie where my standards weren't necessarily higher than the roof, it was good. Okay, I enjoyed it. It's got some issues, but I really did enjoy my time with it. I don't know if they're going to make a sequel. I actually don't know how much money this movie's making. I don't know if... I don't think critics like it, which critics really don't matter anymore. They never did. What you think matters, what I think matters, I can give this movie, for an example, I can give this movie an F. You might give it an A. It's whatever you want it, whatever. But at the same time, I feel like if this does make enough money, maybe we'll get a sequel. I don't know. They kind of wrap things up in the end. But all in all, the Garfield movie is fun. It's funny. It's entertaining in spots. There are a few negative issues here or there, but other than that, it is pretty okay for a Garfield movie. As a movie itself, again, as I mentioned, I have a few issues, but like I said, this is the best Garfield movie ever made. And if you do like this character as much as me, or more than me, I would recommend you seeing it. If you don't like Garfield, I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not, go out and watch it. But it's fun. If you have kids, or you're an adult, or you're a kid, or you're a teen, whatever. If you like Garfield, if you like funny animated movies, for the most part funny, I give it a go. I think it's worth seeing in theaters if you like the character. I'll probably end up buying this one on Blu-ray. I enjoyed it enough to warrant that, I think. So yeah, I did enjoy it. But again, a few issues here or there, but overall, it's a fun ride. I'm going to give the Garfield movie, let's see, I'll probably give it a B. Pretty, solid B. Nothing lower than a B, I think, is deserving for this. Nothing offensively bad, but I think it could have been better in some spots. But tell me in the comments down below if you saw the Garfield movie. What are your thoughts on it? Again, I don't know if we're getting more of the fat cat, but if we do, hopefully it's a little better than this one. But hey, still, I liked it for the most part. It was a pretty solid, fun adventure. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.